Hello and welcome to my Visual Basic 2D platformer tutorial. This tutorial will just show you how to create a basic 2D platformer that includes gravity, jumping, and basic movements. So the first thing we want to do is we want to add our character. In this case it's going to be a picture box, and we're not going to add a picture so that way I don't make you guys download any pictures. So instead we'll just add a color to it. So we'll set the back color to like pink or something. So now we have our character, then we also want to name this guy. So we'll name him Pick Player. That's the abbreviation I use for picture boxes. You can also use PB, but I use Pick. I'm also going to name my form 2D platformer. I don't think there's two M's in that. Whatever. So the next thing we want to do is we want to add another picture box, and this one's just going to be invisible. And this is we're just going to make this go across the entire area, and we're going to call this Pick Air. And what Pick Air is going to do is if the player is in Pick Air, then, oh, I actually send this to the back. So if the player is in Pick Air, then, and he's not like jumping around, then we want him to fall. So that's how we incorporate gravity. And that's basically what 2D platformers are, is games with physics, or 2D games with physics. So actually I'm just going to bring this guy to the front so I don't have to keep sending things to the back. And then we also want another one called Pick Ground. And for whatever reason, collisions in Visual Basic are very messed up. This is one of the reasons I hate game development in VB, is because of how messed up collisions are. So we just want to include a little space, a little gap in between here, just in case we run into any like phasing errors, or it phases through it all. So let's go ahead and press F7 to open up our code editor window. And then we want to go to our scope here, and we want to click on FRM event, or form events, and then we want to go to declarations, and we want to scroll down until we see a key down event. So then go ahead and click on that. So on our key down events, we want to just basically define some movement. So I'm going to say select case e.keycode case keys dot, let's just use the arrow keys. So start off with keys dot right. So when you press the right arrow key, we want this guy to go right. So how do we make him go right? Well, we actually want to add a timer for this. So we will add a timer, and then we'll call this TMR right. And what TMR right is going to do is just going to move our picture box to the right. So then we'll just say, under our TMR right, we'll say pick player dot left, because you can't call dot right. If we said dot right and then like plus equals like 15, it'll run into an error because right is read only. So we have to say left, and if you want to go right, you actually have to add to the left, which I don't really understand, but that's what you gotta do. So we want to add actually I'm going to create a global variable here, call dim move speed as integer equal to 15, so that way if I want to change the move speed, I can change it for all directions without having to go through each one. So then when they press right, we want to start the timer. So then if we run this now, actually he'll just keep going to the right, and actually I don't know why that doesn't exit. Hold on a second. Okay, whatever. Yeah, so if we just press this, he'll just keep going to the right, but we don't want him to do that. We want him to go to the right only when they're holding it down. So how do we do that? Well, we could set a boolean variable saying if he's holding down or not, but we can make it a lot easier by just going to our scope, our declarations, and doing a key up event, and then basically copying the same code here, and instead of starting the timer on the key up event, stop the timer. So now, if you hold down, then let go, it'll stop. So pretty cool. The next thing we want to, I don't know why it's not always doing that, but whatever. Whoops, don't want to move that out of place. So then, next thing we want to do is we just want to do the same thing for all directions. So we'll say TMR left, and then TMR up. And because it's a 2D platformer, we do not want him to be able to move down. Or at least that's what I don't want him to do. So then I'm going to say pick player dot left minus equals move speed, and then under up, actually, one thing we want to do is we want to set a boolean variable here. So we want to dim is jumping. I like to call it this, as a boolean. And this will basically tell whether or not the player is jumping. So if he is jumping, and so if that variable is equal to true, and he's in the air, then we don't want him to fall, because if you're jumping in the air, you keep going up. Gravity doesn't kick in until you run out of momentum, or we're not going to add momentum in this, we're just going to say he can fly, basically, because that's a little too complicated. I just want to make this as simple as possible. So under TMR up, we'll say pick player dot top. If we want him to go up, remember we have to minus equals move speed. If we said plus equals, that'd make him go down. I have no idea why that's the case, but it is. So then we have to say case keys dot left, then we want to start TMR left, case keys dot up, u dot up, then we want to TMR up dot start, and then once again we can just add these right in here. Take away the end select there, and then just replace all of these with start with stop, like that. And actually, when they're pressing up, we want to set is jumping equal to true, and when they're no longer pressing, we want to set is jumping equal to false. Okay, so this is pretty good. This is just basic movement here. So you can move up, you can move right, left, up, like that. And actually, I'm going to set the timers to a different interval because that's really glitchy. I'm going to set the interval to something like 30. Okay, that's a little bit better. Then we can actually decrease the speed a little bit since our interval is higher. Or we could set the... Is it still running? No, okay. Or we can set the interval just a little bit. Sorry, just kind of experimenting with this here. I guess we can keep it at 15. Okay, yeah. So, sorry if I was moving a little too fast there. But basically what I did is I set my timer intervals, I just highlighted them all. I set my timer intervals to 20, and then I just kept my move speed at 15. To just make it move a lot smoother. Okay, so now all this works, but how do we incorporate gravity? Well, oh, what? Hold on a second. I accidentally closed out of my toolbox. Okay, so we want to actually add another timer. This is a lot like, if you've ever done games in any other language, this is a lot like your game loop. So I'm just going to call this TMR game logic. And we actually want to double click our form under our form load event, and we want to start TMR game logic because this is going to always be ticking, because it's going to always check for these things. This is where we can put all of our collision events and game action events. So under the TMR game logic, we can say if pick player dot bounds dot intersects with pick air dot bounds, then proper expression, oh, intersects with, not intersects. I must have accidentally hit that. Make sure that says intersects with. Then we want to check if if is jumping is equal to true, so is equal to false, sorry. We want to make sure that they're not jumping and they're intersecting with the air. Then we can create another timer, this one called TMR gravity, and all TMR gravity is going to do is pick player dot top plus equals move speed. What? Plus equals move speed. So we'll just make him do that. Oh my god, what? I don't want to do that. The top plus equals move speed. Then we just want to start TMR gravity dot start, then else, and then we can say else if pick player dot bounds dot intersects with pick ground dot bounds. Then we want to TMR gravity dot stop, and I'm gonna actually just stop the video in a second here. I'll fix this in the next video. It's a little glitchy, but I'll show you.